Hey guys, what's up? This is Justin. Today I'm going to share a fun workout that you can do to improve both your throwing skills and your conditioning skills. I think a lot of traditional Frisbee drills are set up well to help you build a foundation of the fundamentals, but I don't think they're structured well to help you continue to improve once you've got that. So what I'm hoping is in this video, I can give you the tools to then help to start to improve your own Frisbee drills. On screen, you'll see me flip back and forth between different clips, but this is me and friends going through a series that I really like to use over the last year or so. What we're doing here is tossing the disc to ourselves to simulate catching a swing, and then aiming for this pole here, pretending like we're hitting a continuation cut. You can see that the defense is sealing, so as the offense, you have to make the read whether to throw the around or go for the inside. And it's not 100% like a game would be, and that's okay. But it makes break mark and just throwing in general a little bit more engaging. And of course, a drill like this takes some visualization and honesty. As a defender, you know exactly where the throw is going, so you could cheat it, but playing honest just makes it a little bit better. And this doesn't have to be a continuation cut coming horizontally. You could change it so you could imagine it's an under coming down behind the mark, or even an upline with a flat mark. Just create some sort of in-game scenario that you're simulating. All right, so let's get into the actual principles in this drill. And I will say this isn't stuff that I just made up or I've pulled from my extensive and successful playing career, because I do not have that. But these are concepts from research on skills development or motor learning. And motor learning is the actual process of learning skills. So these are ideas that are used across all different sports, and I've just applied them here to Ultimate. So to get into the principles now, number one is we have to get away from creating drills that replicate an in-game scenario way too closely. What I've seen is a lot of drills are set up so they should be done the one and only correct way. And we know that there is no one correct way to do anything. Like with throwing, for example, there's a general framework of what your throw should look like, but every single person isn't throwing the exact same way because there's not one correct way. Everybody's a little bit different. And that's the same with in-game scenarios. So in this drill, you might expect to step out and hit the big around into space and maximize horizontal yards every single time because that's what you are supposed to do. But that takes the decision-making process out of it. If you go into every single rep already decided on what you're going to do, that no matter what the defense is doing, then you're not actually getting better at reading the mark and adjusting your throw. So we want to set up drills that force us to make a decision or make a read so that we are staying adaptable. Here, we're reading the defense. If we had a cutter, we would read where the cutter is, so the timing of where we have to put that throw. Be able to adapt and change depending on the situation, because that is what we do in game. And number two is people don't overload the difficulty of their skills work. Imagine in the gym if you only ever squatted 10 pounds. Well, at first that might be difficult and you might get some improvement from that. But if you've been doing that for years and years, that's going to be super easy and you're not actually getting any improvement. So what you would have to do, and what we all understand, is you continue to increase the weight so that you are overloading the difficulty on your legs and you are then getting stronger. So it's the same idea here. If you do the same thing over and over, it's hard to continue to get improvement out of that. So I like to find specific variables within the drill and challenge them. The overall idea is you're making it harder in training so it feels easier in game. Like number one, reading the mark. We can give the defense the advantage by starting a little bit farther forward. This then gives them more time to set up so they aren't coming flying in to seal. So now the defender is challenged more to get that throw off by either having to step out farther around an already set mark or having to move that mark a bit more. Number two, getting the throw out quicker. You might start with 2 to 3 stall counts and eventually try to get that to under 2, or maybe even get it out in 1 stall count. If you can work on getting it out faster, then it's going to feel easier when you have that extra stall count in game. Number 3, the run into the catch. The more distance you have in that run up, then the more speed you're able to pick up. So then it becomes even harder to decelerate yourself, stay controlled, and get off a good throw. These are just a couple examples, but I hope it gives you that overall idea. Find a couple variables, make them a lot harder so they feel easier in game. General rule of thumb, if you're able to complete 9 to 10 out of 10 of the throws, that's probably too easy and you need to find something to overload or challenge. If you're only completing 0 to 3 out of 10 of the throws, that's probably too challenging and you need to back off a little bit. And that sweet spot I found is about 5 to 8 out of 10 throws. That's not too difficult, but that's not too easy either. And lastly, I think this is really good sports-specific conditioning, because if you think about it, it's just a lot of hard sprints, shuffles, and decelerations. So if you wanted to, as you're going through this, you could be very strict on your rest times to make this like an interval workout. For example, let's say you and a partner are going through this and it takes you 3 minutes to complete the entire thing. Well, then you could have a 3-minute rest, and that makes your work to rest ratio 1-to-1. Very, very generally speaking, I'm not saying this is every single time because that's definitely not the case, but I feel like generally speaking, Ultimate is a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio. You play a point, you rest the point. You play a point, you rest the point. So if you wanted to, making it a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio could just be a good way to kind of replicate, I guess, the conditioning demands. And across a lot of high level sports, you see skills workouts like this usually make up most of the conditioning work that players have. Basketball, for example, instead of having to do a full on-court workout and then go do additional conditioning work, really smart coaches will structure the skills workout with specific work to rest ratios to make it a good conditioning workout as well. And I think Ultimate can definitely start to adapt something like this. That's it for the video. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions down below, but thank you very much for watching.